I still have that baby blanket. Pale blue. Smells like lavender soap and nothing else. Last Tuesday, I stood in a hospital parking lot in the pouring rain, holding that blanket against my chest like a damn fool. The rain wasn't dramatic like in movies. Just cold and steady dripping down my neck. I could see the maternity ward, lights on the 3rd floor. Somewhere behind that glass, my grandson was taking his first breath. And somewhere behind that glass, my son Michael was telling the nurse my mom is not allowed up. She only wants to see the baby for Instagram likes. She doesn't actually care about family. That hit me like a ton of bricks. In that moment, I realized he had already decided who I was. A liar, a user, a stranger. And I never got a chance to defend myself. Let me rewind a bit. My name is Barbara. I am 62 years old. I live alone in a small 2-bedroom condo in a quiet suburb outside Portland. The building is old, the elevator groans like it has arthritis, but my balcony gets beautiful morning light. I worked for 33 years as a school office manager. Not a teacher, just the lady who kept attendance records straight and made sure the buses ran on time. Nothing fancy. But that job paid for my son Michael's entire childhood. His father left when Michael was 8. Said he needed space. That space turned into another state, then another wife, then complete silence. I never cried in front of Michael. I packed his lunches, I went to every parent-teacher conference alone. I fixed the leaky faucet myself. I told myself, if I just love him enough, he will never feel abandoned. For a long time, that worked. Michael was a quiet, serious kid. He got into a good university. I sold my mother's old jewelry to cover his first-year tuition. He never asked me to. I offered. That is what mothers do, right? We cut ourselves into tiny pieces to make their path smoother. He met Jennifer in his final year. Her family was well off. Her dad owned a real estate firm. Her clothes were nicer, her accent was sharper, more polished. When Michael first brought her to my condo, she looked at my old couch with the stain that never came out. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She said, "Oh, this is so cozy." I made coffee and brownies. She didn't touch the brownies. Said she was gluten intolerant. Later, Michael told me she wasn't intolerant at all. She just thought my kitchen wasn't clean enough. I let it go. You let a lot go when you are a mother. The wedding was the first real crack. Jennifer's family wanted a vineyard venue, a live band, a raw bar. Things I had never even heard of. I offered what I had saved. $8,000. Michael laughed. Not mean exactly, just exhausted. He said, "Mom, that won't even cover the flowers." I asked, what should I do then? He said, "Just come. Sit quietly. And maybe don't tell anyone you are a widow who worked at a public school." I wore my best blue dress. I sat in the 3rd row. When the wedding photographer gathered everyone for the family portrait Jennifer's, Mom pulled me to the very edge of the frame. I am not in any printed photo from that day. There is one on Michael's phone. I am half cropped out like an accidental thumb in the corner. After the wedding, they moved into a new townhouse her father bought. 2-car garage. A kitchen with an island. I was invited once for a housewarming party. Jennifer showed me every imported appliance. Then she said, "Barbara, could you please leave your shoes by the door? The floors are heated Italian marble." I took my shoes off. My sock had a small hole near my big toe. I saw her see it. The pregnancy news came 8 months after the wedding. Michael called me on a Tuesday evening. His voice was different, softer, almost like the little boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. He said, "Mom, you are going to be a grandma." I cried. I am not ashamed of that. I cried into my dish towel while my soup boiled over. I asked, "Can I come help?" "I can cook. I can clean, I can do laundry. He cut me off. Jennifer's mom is staying for 6 months. She hired a full-time nanny and a night nurse. There is no space, Mom. The guest room is for her parents only. I said okay. I sent a gift. A silver rattle and the blue blanket I had been knitting for months. I sent it by mail. I never got a thank you. But later, I saw a photo on Jennifer's Instagram. The blanket was on the floor, under the dog bed. Their new Labrador puppy was lying on it. I didn't say a word. I told myself, when the baby comes, everything will change. Love flows downhill. He will remember. The baby came early. 3 weeks early. I got a text from Michael at 2 in the morning. Jennifer in labor. Don't come yet. We'll update. I waited. I didn't sleep. I microwaved the same coffee cup 4 times. At 6 a.m., he texted it's a boy. Both fine. Visiting hours are 11 to 2. But it's crowded. Better you come tomorrow. I didn't listen. I am the grandmother. I took a bus, then an Uber. I reached the hospital at 10:30 a.m. I was early, but I thought I would wait in the lobby. I had the blanket in my bag. I had a small thermos of warm lemon water for Jennifer because her mom once told me she liked that after delivery. I found the maternity ward on the 3rd floor. The nurse at the front desk was young with red lipstick. I said I am here to see Michael Johnson's baby. I am the grandmother. She looked at her clipboard. She frowned. Ma'am, the father left a note. Only maternal grandparents and the father's sibling. No one else. I said, but I am his mother. She shrugged and said he told me to tell you, and I quote, your mom only wants to see the baby for Facebook photos. She is not needed. I stood there. The automatic doors to the ward were right in front of me. I could hear a baby crying. A thin, brand new sound. My grandson. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned around and walked back to the elevator. That was the moment everything broke. The moment you realize your own son has rewritten your love into a performance for social media. He didn't see a mother. He saw an embarrassment. A liability. A photo op he didn't want. For the next 3 weeks, I tried everything the quiet way. I sent Michael a voice note, soft, no anger. I said, honey, I understand you are stressed. But I am the baby's grandma. Can I please come for 1 hour? I will wear a mask. I will wash my hands. I will not touch anything. He replied with one sentence, Jenny is not comfortable. Don't push. I called his number the next day. He didn't pick up. I called again 2 hours later. His phone was off. That night I opened Facebook. Jennifer had posted a photo of the baby wrapped in the blue blanket. The same one I had knitted. The caption said, our little prince, wrapped in a blanket handmade by his loving maternal grandmother. So blessed. I stared at those words. Maternal grandmother, not me. Jennifer's mom had taken credit for my work. And my son let her. I didn't comment. I didn't rage. I took a screenshot. I saved it in a folder on my phone called the receipts. That is what I call painful things now. Thanksgiving was the first escalation. I texted Michael 2 weeks before. Can I come for 1 evening? I will bring a pumpkin pie. I will leave by 9. He said Jenny's whole family is coming. 18 people. No space, Mom. Maybe next week. Next week came. I cooked a full dinner anyway. Turkey meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, apple crisp. I packed it in 3 glass containers. I took a bus to their townhouse. A 40-minute ride. I held the containers on my lap so they wouldn't spill. I rang the bell. Michael opened the door. He was wearing sweatpants watching football on a giant TV. behind him, the living room was empty. No guests. No 18 people. Just him, Jennifer, on the couch, and the baby in a bouncer. I said I brought food. He didn't take the containers. He stood in the doorway, blocking the gap. Jennifer didn't even look up. She was on her phone. Michael said, "Mom, I told you. This is not a good time." I said, "But there is nobody here." He lowered his voice and said, "That is the point. Jenny wants quiet. Just our small family. Our small family." I was not in it. I handed him the containers. He took them after a long, awkward pause. He didn't invite me inside. I stood on the doormat for 10 seconds. Then I turned and walked back to the bus stop. On the ride home, I watched Thanksgiving lights on all the houses. Everyone else's windows were glowing. Mine was dark. My birthday was the second escalation. I turned 63. No call from Michael until 9 p.m. When he finally called, he sounded distracted. "Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry, we were at the pediatrician." I said, "Can I see the baby on FaceTime?" "Just 2 minutes." He put me on speaker. I heard Jennifer in the background. "Michael, the doctor said no screen time for infants. It is bad for his eyes." He said, "Sorry, Mom, maybe another time." And the call ended. I sat with my untouched cake from the grocery store bakery. The candles were still in the box. I didn't light them. I ate one slice, standing in the kitchen over the sink, so I wouldn't have to set the table for just one person. The third escalation was financial, and it broke something permanent inside me. I have a small savings account. Nothing huge. About $50,000. Meant for my old age. Medical emergencies. Maybe a little trip to the Oregon coast. One morning, I got a text alert from my bank. "Withdrawal of $15,000 initiated from your money market account." I panicked. I called the bank. They said the request came through online banking. I don't use online banking. I asked my nephew, who works in IT, to help me trace it. The IP address came back to Michael's home Wi-Fi. I confronted him. I called and asked directly, "Did you take money from my account?" There was a long silence. Then he said, "Mom, I am your son. I have a right to that money. Jenny needed a safer car for the baby. You would have said yes if I asked." I said, "But you didn't ask." He sighed and said, "You are so dramatic. It is family money." That word again, family. He used it like a weapon. Whenever he wanted something, we were family. Whenever I wanted to hold my grandson, I was not needed. I went to the bank the next morning. I removed his name as a joint beneficiary. I changed all my passwords. It felt dirty. Like I was preparing for a war I never wanted. But I learned something that week. Kind people get taken for granted. And sometimes the only way to keep your dignity is to close the door real quiet. 2 months passed. I didn't call. I didn't text. I wanted to see if he would even notice my silence. He didn't. But then one evening, I got a call from my cousin Linda, who lives in the same neighborhood as Michael. Linda said, "Barbara, I need to tell you something. But promise you won't get mad." I promised. Linda said Jenny is planning a huge first birthday party for the baby. 200 guests. Big fancy event. And she is making a family tree photo wall. Guess whose photo is not on it? I didn't guess. I already knew. Linda continued, "She has photos of her parents, her grandparents, her aunt, even her dog. But your name is listed under father's side as deceased." My heart didn't break. It froze solid, deceased. She told the party planner that I was dead. I asked Linda, "Does Michael know?" Linda hesitated and said he designed the invitation, Barbara. That was the moment everything shifted in my bones. Before that, I thought it was Jennifer. I thought she was the cruel one, and my son was just weak. But a weak man does not design an invitation calling his own mother dead. That is not weakness. That is a choice. I didn't cry. I went to my kitchen. I made a cup of ginger tea. I sat on my balcony, and I began to think clearly for the first time in 2 years. I had given Michael 33 years of my life. My youth, my savings, my silence. And in return, he had erased me. But here is the truth about being erased. When someone tries to make you disappear, you don't scream to be seen. You simply stop providing the light they have been stealing. I opened my laptop and I made a list. I am not a revengeful woman. I don't believe in public shaming or dramatic confrontations on Facebook. But I do believe in boundaries. And I realized that for 33 years, I had never set a single real boundary with Michael. So I set one now, quietly, legally, without a single angry word. Step 1, the will. I went to a small family lawyer in my neighborhood. Not an expensive one, just a retired man named Mr. Hoffman, who charges $100 for a consultation. I rewrote my will. Everything I own. The condo, the remaining savings, my mother's last ring. All of it goes to a local charity that runs a free after-school program for girls. Not a single dollar to Michael. Mr. Hoffman asked me, "Are you absolutely sure?" I said, "I have never been more sure in my life." He filed it. I paid $300. I took a copy home and put it in a brown envelope under my mattress. Step 2, the bank. I moved my remaining money to a different bank. A small credit union that requires my physical signature for any withdrawal. No online banking. No beneficiary, except my younger sister who lives in Seattle and minds her own business. I told Michael nothing. Step 3, the birthday gift. Instead of confronting him about the deceased lie, I did something unexpected. I sent a gift to the party venue directly. Not through Michael. Through the event planner. It was a silver picture frame. Beautiful, simple. And inside the frame, I put a photo of me holding baby Michael in the hospital. On the back, I wrote in permanent marker from Barbara. Michael's mother. Not deceased. Just forgotten. I did not attend that party. But I heard from Linda that the frame arrived. And that Jennifer tried to hide it in a closet. And that Michael saw it. And that for the first time in over a year, he looked genuinely uncomfortable. Step 4, the letter. I wrote Michael a letter. It was only 1 page. I didn't yell. I didn't list his crimes. I wrote this. Dear Michael, I am not angry. I am not your enemy. But I am also not your doormat. You told a party planner I am dead. You took my money without asking. You let a dog sleep on a blanket I made for your son. These are not mistakes. These are choices. I will not beg for place in your life. I will not cry on social media. But I will also not pretend. Your family photo wall does not include me. Fine. My will does not include you either. The door is not locked from my side. But I will not knock anymore. If you want a mother, you know where the bus goes. Love always, Mom. I mailed it certified mail with tracking. 10 days later, Michael showed up at my door. It was a Sunday morning at 7 a.m. I was in my bathrobe drinking tea and reading an old magazine. The doorbell rang twice, then a loud knock. Urgent. I opened the door. Michael was standing there looking terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, wearing the same shirt from 2 days ago. Behind him, his car was still running in the parking lot. Jennifer was in the passenger seat staring at her phone. She didn't look at me. Michael said, Mom, the bank called. They said you removed my beneficiary status, and Mr. Hoffman's office sent a letter saying you changed your will. I said yes. He stepped closer and said, "Why would you do that?" "I am your only son." I looked him right in the eye and said, "You are. And I am your only mother. But you told people I am dead." He put his hand on my doorframe. His voice cracked. He said, "Mom, Jenny made me do that." The party planner said the wall looked unbalanced with one side missing. She panicked. I said, "Michael, you are 34 years old. You have an engineering degree. You drive a $40,000 car. And you are standing here telling me a party planner made you call me dead." He didn't answer. Then Jennifer got out of the car. She walked up to my doorstep, still not stepping inside, just standing on the mat where I had stood on Thanksgiving. She said, "Barbara, we need your signature on a document. Michael is buying a new house. The bank needs a family approval letter." A family approval letter. After calling me deceased. After the dog blanket. After the hospital lockout. I laughed. Not a happy laugh. A dry old laugh that surprised even me. I said, "Jennifer, honey, I have a counter offer for you." She tilted her head. I said, "You want my signature? First you bring me back my blue blanket, washed, without dog hair. Second you tell my grandson, when he is old enough, that he has a grandmother who loves him more than anything. And third, you stop pretending I am dead." Michael whispered, "Mom, please. Just sign the paper. We have a loan deadline." I looked at both of them standing there on my doorstep. Then I stepped back inside my condo. I closed the door. I didn't slam it. I closed it gently with the same care I used to close my refrigerator door. Through the wood, I said, "I will be at the community church at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you want to talk like family, meet me there. Not here. Not on your terms." They left. I watched from my balcony as their car drove away. Jennifer was already back on her phone. Michael was gripping the steering wheel like it was a lifeline. The next morning at 9 a.m., I went to the church. I lit a candle. I prayed for my grandson's health. I prayed for my own peace. Michael did not come. At 9:30, I left. I bought a bag of fresh donuts from the coffee shop next door. I ate them alone, sitting on a bench under an old oak tree. They were warm. They were good. That was the climax. Not a courtroom. Not a screaming match on the sidewalk. Just a mother eating donuts alone under a tree, knowing she had finally stopped running after people who were running away from her. That was 6 months ago. My life is smaller now, but cleaner. I joined a senior walking group in my neighborhood. We meet every Tuesday. We walk 2 miles, then we get coffee and complain about our knees. One woman named Carol lost her son to a similar kind of silence. She said to me, "Barbara, you didn't lose a son. You found your spine." I didn't know if that was true, but it felt good to hear. Michael calls me once a month now. Short calls. He asks about my health. He never mentions the will or the signature. I don't ask about my grandson because the pain is still too fresh. But I have started putting $20 every month into a separate savings account. It is for that little boy. My grandson. When he turns 18, I will find him. And I will give him that money myself. No middlemen. No family drama. Jennifer has blocked me on Facebook, and that is fine. I have blocked her from my mind. The blue blanket. I never got it back. But last week I knitted a new one. Bright orange and yellow. For myself. I keep it on my couch. When I feel cold, I wrap it around my shoulders. It doesn't smell like a dog. It smells like my own 2 hands. Here is what I learned through all of this. You cannot force someone to see your love. You can pour yourself into a person for 3 decades, and one day they can decide you are a stranger. That is not your failure. That is their choice. But your response, that is yours alone. I chose dignity. Not revenge. Not screaming. Not Facebook posts. Just a quiet door, a changed will, and a donut under an old oak tree. And you know what? I sleep better now. No calls at 2 a.m. No waiting for a text that never comes. Just the ceiling fan, the neighbor's dog barking, and the quiet knowledge that I am not dead. I am very much alive. And I am very done begging for a seat at a table that never wanted me. If you have ever been erased by the people you love the most, you are not alone. Drop your story in the comments below. Let's sit under that oak tree together. And if you want more real-life stories about family loyalty and quiet strength, hit that like button and subscribe. We heal better when we heal together.